Lesson 2-5, Scatter Plots and Lines of Regression. So by the end of this lesson, we should be able to write equations using linear regressions and make predictions from linear models. So to start with, we have a couple definitions. So our first one is a linear model. This is simply a linear equation in our slope-intercept form, so the y equals mx plus b. And a scatter plot, so also known as a dot plot, is just a graph that relates two different sets of data by plotting the data as ordered pairs. Okay? So you're comparing whatever is on the x to whatever's on your y-axis when we're making scatter plots. Now with scatter plots, we have different types of correlation. So if we have just a bunch of random dots and there's really no order to them, there's no correlation. If your dots make a line, so they're pretty close together, so if we see this, this is pretty close to a straight line, or we can easily draw a straight line right through this, that's going to be a strong correlation. And if it's going up, it is positive. If it goes down, it's going to be negative. And then the farther apart your dots get, the weaker the correlation is. Now, the lines that we're going to be drawing through these are called trend lines, or you would see it as the line of best fit or regression line. So those three phrases all mean the same thing. And this is simply a line that closely approximates our data. And we're going to use this line to make predictions. And we're going to refer to this as the prediction equation. And we're going to be using our calculator to find this instead of drawing it by hand. Now with this, when we start making predictions, we have something called our correlation coefficient, and we're going to use an R to represent that. So this correlation coefficient is going to be between -1 and 1, and it just shows how well our data is actually modeled by our equation. So if we have a strong positive or a strong negative, that number should be really close to either -1 or +1. So the closer it is to 1 or -1, the stronger the correlation is. If it's 0, there is no correlation. And the closer the number is to 0, the weaker that the correlation is going to be. And again, we're going to be using our calculator to find this. So in your textbook, there are directions on how to use your calculator on page 94. So if you do need to go back and reference the steps that we talk about in our next section, that is on page 94 in your textbook.